I have a question to all my viewers out there. Do you ever have to present a table to a company or a school presentation? And this is what you bring up to the presentation? Look, whoever's going to grade this, whoever's going to buy from your company, is not going to be impressed by this. You need more detail to add to the depth. So let's see what we can do to turn this into something like this. Not only does it have a table, but it also contains a chart, which adds more depth and meaning to what you're selling or presenting. So let's get into this video, shall we? Welcome to the first part. In this part, first things first, before we continue, you need a boring chart or table. The reason for this is because, in my opinion, making a chart or table is like writing. You need a first draft that's going to be horrible. No one's wanting to read it. Then you're going to need a second draft, something better, something spectacular. So, as you can see, we don't know much about this table. We don't even know what it is. We don't know what Q1, Q2 is. So, let's make a title. A title usually has in my charts, I usually try to have 3 rows and then multiple columns. And once we select this, what you're going to do is essentially click over here and click merge and center. Now we have one big cell, not like any other of these cells. You can see there's small cells and then there's our title cell. Let's get into how to design this type of. How do we design a title? In my opinion, usually when I'm coloring the chart or table, I want it to match the colors of the company or school you're at. So let's say our school or company has blue and black colors. So I'm going to do blue for the title. So we're going to click on this and then go over here, click the drop bar button, and then click any blue that represents your company. Then after this, you're going to type what it is. So what we're doing is quarterly earnings. Now, as you can see, that's hard to see, and it's super small. So select the text, and then go over here. Usually when I have darker colors such as blue, I'll have white lettering. And after that, I'll make it to usually 20 to like 30. In this episode, I'm going to do 28. And as you can see, that makes a lot more sense because at first, we don't know what Q1 or Q2 means. But now with the title, we know what it means. It's quarterly earnings. So let's get into the first step into actually using your input. We have our data from our first table. And now we see that there are two titles up here. And as we can see, there is 7 of these. So we know that we can't use one of them. So we'll keep this one blank. And since there's 6 more, we're going to make this and merge it. And then merge this so that we can have 2 titles up here. Now, since we use blue and our company's color is blue and black, I'm going to make this into black, also including this one. And then you're going to write, for my data, it's going to be Q1, Q1, I forgot to make it white text. Then Q2. Now we have our titles, but it doesn't pop out. So let's make it a little bigger. I'm going to make it 14. Both of them. Remember to select the text or it won't, actually make it. And now we have something that pops out more. We have the title, and now we know what it means. So let's get into the other ones. Alright, so now we have these titles. What about these? But first things first, before we continue, please make this black. It's going to look way off. So we're going to make this black, and then we're going to input our data, which I'm going to pause and put it in for you so you don't have to watch it. But I suggest just one line for each title and data since we don't want to attract all our attention. We need to know what the table is before we know the data. So once we know what the title is, we can easily look at the data and know what we're looking at. So we're going to make the data a tad bit smaller from the titles and the title. All right, now we have our data input. I'm going to tell you something. You're going to have to merge these cells because you want your chart to be as rectangle or square as possible because it looks a lot more professional and better looking when doing it. So first things first, how do we design our data? As you can see, it just is bland, it's boring. So you're going to want to have two different colors in mind, and I'm going to just suggest any color, which in this video I am going to do blue and just white. It doesn't have to be changed much for it to look better. And I'm trying, there we go. And then we're gonna see how it's different blue. You don't want it the exact same blue because it may look like the title and throw off some of the users. And now we have designed our data. How do we have borders? You can see there's a subtle difference between each of our data, and you really want borders. So let's learn how to put in borders. So I suggest different borders for different things. So as you can see, we have this. This is different from titles since this is the main title. So we want it to be like super duper important. So we're going to do double bottom border. As you can see, there's a little bottom. I know it may not seem like much of a difference, but trust me, it will. And now once this, I'm going to do this. And you can see the subtle differences. But here's where the main difference comes into play. This. You're going to select all your data, and then what you're going to do is essentially you're going to pick all borders. And as you can see, it looks a lot better because you can see the individual lines and can decide which data is for which. And as you can see, there's just this helps a lot. It may not seem much, but it does help for the viewer of the presentation to see and look directly without being mixed up. Because if you're going to have a large table without a border, they may look through all of the rows and get some numbers mixed up. Let's go on to our next tip. This is our last tip in design in which we're going to add to our table. So we're going to select the entire table. And then we're going to do insert, and then we're going to do recommended charts. This little pop-up is going to show, and we can see our different things. And as you can see, there are some different ones, but if you don't like these, you can always go to these, and in which I really like the bars. And as you can see, we now have a chart. How do we do this? So we're going to double click on it, and we can change it. All right. So we're going to add some names to things, all that type of stuff. We can change the font, all that stuff. All right. Now that's changed. Now, as you can see, there is this shows our Q1 earnings. Now, sometimes we don't know what's gonna do. So if you just want one side, you can just select this side, and do recommended charts. And then you're going to get a different chart. As you can see, there's different ones. And then we can either do this as well, which I'm going to do this. And now we have our quarter 2 and quarter 1. They may be different series, but these do help, and in which you can insert your own data. But I'm running out of time in this video, so as I showed you how to do it, you just gotta double click on whatever you want to change, and let's get to our ending. And as we can see, there is a gigantic difference between this and this. If you really like this episode, please consider subscribing. It may not seem too much to you, but it means the world to me. And please check out my other videos. They may go into more depth. And have a good day or night. Bye.